Now, I'm not a sports guy, but I do love inspirational and fun sports movies. And just in time for the big football game, we've got 80 for Brady hitting theaters. Is this one a home run or a fumble? And yeah, I know that a home run isn't for football. Everybody knows it's for hockey. 80 for Brady is inspired by the true story of four best friends living life to the fullest when they take a wild trip to the 2017 Super Bowl to see their hero Tom Brady play. Now, right from the start, we've got a powerhouse of acting talent headlining this. There's Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field. Now, if anything was going to entice me to see this, it would be these actors. The movie's mostly a lighthearted comedy that establishes the quartet's friendship and love for football right from the start. The story explains their small obsession with Tom Brady, which is then one of the driving forces for the women to go to the Super Bowl where Brady's playing. There's also another storyline that serves as the MacGuffin, but it's pretty obvious in the arc. And that doesn't take away from any emotional appeal, it's just a piece of the narrative that won't cause any surprises. Now, I love that each of the actors gets some moments where they are in the spotlight for the story, allowing them to take the center focus. And these are typically some of the best moments in the movie because we get to see what makes them the movie stars that they are, whether that's relying on beauty, smarts, or even comedic timing and wit. Now, Lily Tomlin is fun, especially when she's a bit grumpy. Both she and Sally Field take turns being a curmudgeon, and they made me smirk at their antics. And while all of the women are the stars in this, Tomlin's character is the driving force behind so much of the story progression. She's got some great moments that give her character depth and humanity. And when the mood gets a bit melancholy, she inserts a quip about one of her friends, and levity is instantly attained. Jane Fonda gets to play up her bombshell persona, but I love that the story doesn't make her out to be some dumb blonde sex doll. She's smart, driven, successful, and funny. Now, there are times where she feels like she's searching for her lines or what is coming next, but I give that more of a pass. I mean, I can chalk it up to the character's age and small delays of just being natural, and it really doesn't ruin any part of the story. I mean, I just noticed it, so you might as well. Now, Rita Moreno steals the scenes whenever she's on screen. She's playing a wealthier widow, and while she's still in a sense of grief, she's got some wicked talent for gaining wealth, and we get to see how that plays out for her as they go on their trip. That's not really what you might expect from the character, but she's so endearing and cute that it all feels genuine and believable. Now, running neck and neck for stealing scenes is Sally Field also. She is incredibly witty and has some amazing timing. Plus, she's able to dryly deliver snark in a way that's biting, but also covered with smiles, so most people don't know that they're being sassed. Now, her character in the film is the youngest of the four, and there's an ongoing bit that made me chuckle in all the ways that it would be referenced throughout the story. Now, she does have an element in her story arc that I think is ultimately unnecessary. She has interactions with Bob Balaban, who is always meek and hilarious, but his inclusion, it didn't really add to the story. I mean, if his part was cut and the script changed just a few lines of dialogue, the same character progression and growth for Field's character, it still comes about. And the reason I bring this up is that shaving unnecessary portions from the story would have made this movie so much better. It's 98 minutes, but it feels closer to being over 2 hours. There's a lot of downtime sprinkled throughout the film that kills any momentum that's built. When the women are doing their thing, whether that be poking fun at each other, going on unbelievable quests, taking mind-altering substances, or just generally being able to let loose, the story and the pace, they flow well. But when that's not happening, when the story will take a bit of a detour or maybe even focus on people or situations that aren't core to the story, that's when the brakes are hit. And they're hit hard, and then the tempo, it comes to a screeching halt. And outside of some of the interactions between Field and Balaban, the majority of portions that drag, they're tiny, but they all add up and then contribute to a much slower pace than's beneficial. And as an example, in the trailer, we watch the women have to perform as part of this dance troupe in order to gain entrance to the Super Bowl. But there's a small interaction after between some random people where the conversation, it's cringy, unfunny, and then completely unbelievable for who's saying it. I mean, I can get behind suspending my disbelief for the antics of the four, but it's a lot harder to be on board with nonsense from periphery people. And if you like football, there is a decent amount of footage that's incorporated in the last act of the film. And even for somebody who doesn't watch sports, what's shown is exciting and tense. It captures the suspenseful urgency of the game in a way that completely fits with the narrative, and it doesn't feel shoehorned in just to include some football into a football movie, even though it's not really a football movie. I mean, you get the point. Now, it may sound a bit like I didn't enjoy this too much, but I did have fun with it. The story and performances are cute and heartfelt, mixed with love, tenderness, and humor. It's not a bad watch, but if I were to pay to see this in the theater and pay to take my family, I'd be disappointed. I think this is great for a matinee, maybe a rental, or even streaming. The dynamic between Tomlin, Fonda, Moreno, and Field, it's awesome to watch. And when they're playing off each other, there's some magic that's captured. 80 for Brady is casual and enjoyable, with some great heart at its core, but the pacing, it does work against the storytelling, which ends up making this more of a chore than it really should be. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, and not much violence. I give 80 for Brady 3 out of 5 couches. So what's a sports movie that you love to watch? Rudy, Remember the Titans, even Miracle, they're ones that I can watch a ton, and there are even so many others also. But let me know what you enjoy in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.